it's good?
No, I was gonna go swimming, but not if it's cold.
Girl, bring your book if you're gonna go swimming. All righty. Just waiting on anybody else who's coming. Okay, so couple things. First of all, mahalo to you guys if you guys completed your outline with just notes. It was okay if you like copied and pasted the direct quotes or the evidence, but all I wanted you to do was just organize your ideas and not take too much time to write out your thoughts. And the reason why is you might have to adjust it. So you baboozers who tried to type out the entire essay, you guys skipped a step. If not, I would have assigned you guys the entire essay due today. So the essay is actually due this week. Alrighty? So some of you guys lost points for doing too much work, if that's crazy. Okay, I want you guys to follow directions. So some of you guys got 7 or 8 points out of 10. There's a couple of you who actually did follow directions, so mahalo to you guys. So let's go into our Canvas for this week, and then let's talk about what we have in store for today. So let's go to 2.2 dystopia unit. And let's first of all go to the CER for Anthem. So we're gonna start from the bottom and then work our way to the top. Isn't that a song? Okay, whatever. Too early? Still too early for you guys? Okay, whatever. All right, so the prompt for your CER is How Does Anthem by Ayn Rand and Harrison Bergeron by Kurt Vonnegut differ in message? So those of you guys who just chose egoism and egoism or collectivism and collectivism for both, you guys need to go back and adjust your outlines. All right, there is a specific message for each story, and if you just assume that Anthem has one message, then you need to go back and read the last part in Anthem. All right, so Tiari, there's somebody behind you with a squirt gun. Yeah, okay. So what we have here is Anthem, without giving away any answers to you guys prior to taking the quiz, is that Anthem is really talking about one thing because the message is the opposite, all right? And so it cannot be the same as Harrison Bergeron. That's clear. And Elise was like, what the heck? But I think you got it. I think you got it. All right. So let's make sure that you go through and you identify specific concepts. And I appreciate all of you guys' emails asking if you had to choose the concepts from below to help explain the message. But it says right there, select concepts below to explain. Do you see that? Do you see what I'm talking about? Do I need to share my screen? No? You guys know what I'm talking about? I'm nervous. At least nod or shake, or I'm just gonna share my screen so that you guys know. So you guys are going to be submitting your essay into this assignment right here, CER Anthem and HB for Harrison Bergeron. Okay, so there's your CER rubric right here. It's worth 30 points. Let's make sure you do a really good job. So I'm gonna walk you through this. Okay, so split your screens and open up a Google Doc, please. Okay, we're gonna do this all together. Okay, so go into Google Doc and then just select the MLA report right here. Okay, when you do that, then you can just go ahead and just replace, right? So let's do that. Let's quickly do that. Put your name, my name, Owen, yes, there's Easy Bib. English 10, and then let's change the date Today is October 26th, so 26 October 2020. 2020 has felt like 5 years, but that's okay. We're moving on here. So what are we doing right now? We are setting up our essay. And I know some of you guys are like, but I already did it. Yeah, I know, but you're gonna have to do it this way, okay? So that you make sure you have your MLA format. Okay, also, let's go ahead and get up into the header and click on the header, type your last name and add a space in there so that you have it correctly formatted, right? So okay, space, that's what I wanna see like that. Also, let's go into our share. Everybody follow the leader. Okay, change this to anyone with the link. Okay, and then commenter. Done. Got it? Thank you. All right, next. Up here for your rename, I want you to write CER Anthem and HB, and then put your name at the end of the file name. I realized while watching some of you guys share your screens with me last week that it's really hard to see which doc is the one you're supposed to be working on when your name is in the front of each doc. So let's put our name in the back so you can tell at least which doc is which, especially when you have multiple tabs open, only like a certain spot opens up. So it's hard to check. Yeah, you got to keep clicking away. And so that's irritating. So everybody did that? Write your first name. Okay. Okay, write your first name and then we can get going. Right, the title, let's go ahead and create a good title. Please don't say my CER for Anthem and Harrison Bergeron. Okay, call it something cool. Name it something cool. What title would you use? Beware of rules. No, I don't know. Something. Okay, if you can't figure it out by then do it later. So take your cursor and just drag it all the way down and delete the rest of it so that you're good to go. Okay, so when I grade this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be looking back and forth at your outline, and I'm hoping to see improvements from your outline to your essay. Okay, so make sure you add in those transitions, make sure that your explanation or your elaboration is really supporting what you're trying to say, right? Why did you use that direct quote? Oh, because I'm justifying my thesis statement. Okay, questions? All right, let's move on. So let's go back into our Canvas. Oh, 4 pieces of evidence. Did I write that? Ugh, it should be from the literature piece. I'll change that in a bit. Thank you, Kala'i, for at least reading the rubric. Okay. Let me do that right now before I forget. Okay, so let's go into Fahrenheit 451 slides. Okay. The subject is English 10. Okay. English 10. Let's see. And then go ahead and make a copy of the student slides, please. And then do the same, take off, remove copy of, and then put your name at the back so you know what is what. Okay, how's everybody doing? You guys done? Yes? All right, so if you guys look at slide 2, you should have a blank. You see right there? Okay, so what I would suggest is that you turn the blank into a different color so that when you type in, your words are a different color. Okay. All right. So after we're done with the quiz, you just jump in and start filling in the blank. So if you guys look like a slide 3, you have more blanks to fill in. Okay, so we're going to take some of the time in filling in the blanks from our notes. Now you're asking, where are the answers? So let's go into our modules for this week. And then you're going to find that on the page where it says Fahrenheit 451. Did you see? There's no Membeing this week. Give me high five. High five, high five. Holy smoke, I made you guys do that. You guys are such suckers. Okay, so there's no Membeing this week. Why? Because I've given you a lot of work. Okay, and so I took something off. So you better do your work. Okay, I'm looking at you guys. You guys do your work. Anna, yeah, smile, girl, smile. Okay. All right, so if you look, this is basically the layout for the next 3 weeks. Smile. This story goes by quickly. Do you guys have your books with you? Try open. It's not even that bad. Look, it's not. They're like, it's like almost like a picture book. The words are so big. All right, Sierra, not bad, Joe. Not bad. Handle. Okay. You're going to love this book. And I just jinxed it. This is one of my favorite books, but you're going to love it. Tiara, did you bring your book in today? Yeah. Woohoo. Yes. What's the in for, Kalai? What's it?
What was the question?
I don't know. What is the in for?
Oh,
Oh, no,
maybe.
Mimby. Jeez. So lame. Anyway, I gave you guys the rundown of the schedule. And then below, that's where you're going to start to plug in the notes for the slides, okay, for your student copy. Kanya, so we're going to take the quiz. You can use your notes because not that I don't care. I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say that if you use your notes, then you should be rewarded for taking notes. And some of your notes, your Post-it notes, were so darn cute. I might have given a couple of you guys extra credit points for making such beautiful notes. So thank you for that. All right, check it out. Do you have the quiz in the chat? Open sesames. Okay, start your timer. Start your phones. You have 12 minutes. Once you're done with the quiz, start plugging in your work for your slides. Rajadajas? Make your timers. The second question should have another zero. Okay, for 3,000. I don't know where it went. You have 8 minutes. So my suggestion to you is to answer the questions that you know and then go back. Sophia, we're taking our quiz. You can use your notes. You have 12 minutes, so set your timer. All right, you guys have about a minute and 30 seconds, so go ahead and finish up your quizzes. You should be working on your student slides for Fahrenheit 451. Okay, so Sophia, while you were getting on, did you make your slides for student slides? So get into F451. There's the student slides, make a copy. Okay, and then you're gonna be filling in the blanks for that. Okay, just have about a minute left, so let's go ahead and submit, guys. We're gonna move on. All right, go ahead and hit the submit button and we're done with the quiz. Sophia, did you finish already? You still have a couple more minutes, yeah? Okay, I need two of you guys to submit so that we can move on. All right, let's move on here. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you. I think there's two of you guys. You guys submitted already? Yeah, okay, thank you. Appreciate that. So I'm going to be sharing my screen with you. Sophia, just catch up after you're done. All righty, so here's the teacher version of this. You're going to be plugging in as we go along. So I'm going to just put this in present mode while you guys are working off of your slides. Okay, so I'm going to be pointing some things out. The things that I deleted from your slides are actually really important, like terms and things like that that you should know. So as you guys type in and fill in the blanks, make sure that you are at least highlighting the words in a different color or like changing the text color so that I know that you filled it in. Kanya? Easy. So this is Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit 451, the temperature at which book paper catches fire and burns. Okay, so if you guys look, my slides are just a tiny bit different than yours. I had to adjust your slides because it was hard to see the text. So please don't think you can just copy and paste these slides into your slides because it doesn't work like that, okay? Which would have been a great idea, but just plug in, just fill in the blank. Okay, so if you look, Fahrenheit started as a short story actually in 1947. All right, and then it grew itself. throughout the years until we get to 1953, where Fahrenheit becomes a full-blown novel. And it says the novel written at the time was when the world was threatened by nuclear war. So go ahead and highlight some of these things as well. So nuclear war, new technologies were emerging, and the world was getting smaller due to technology. What I find really interesting is that this mindset was kind of planted in 1953, right? It's been over almost 50 years since this book was written, and you're going to be astonished to see how pertinent the cautionary tales of this book relates to today. It's really nuts. Okay. I don't know how Ray Bradbury came up with this story, but he imagined what his world would be like if these things that he wrote about took place. And in our time, you're going to be like, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm just going to go through this pretty quickly. You guys can kind of follow along and then type in your missing words. So social criticism, right? Concepts related to this book. Mode of criticism that addresses malicious conditions in a society, in meaning like awful, right? Really negative, bad. Bad would be the lamest word for malicious, but bad conditions in a society that is considered to be flawed and aims at practical solutions. So Fahrenheit 451 warns against the dangers of suppressing thoughts and ideas through censorship. So go ahead and highlight the word censorship, right? So as you guys know, censorship is like the muzzle for like our First Amendment rights of freedom of speech, okay? Freedom to express. If you look, science fiction. So we know that dystopian literature is definitely science fiction because it hasn't happened yet, and it's more of a fantasy. But really, is it, right? So pretty interesting that these dystopian stories are actually science fiction, right? The hypotheses form the basis of adventures in the future. So when you think about, I wonder if this were to happen, or if this were to continue the way it's going, what is our life going to be like, right? And that's where dystopian literature or science fiction actually comes alive. So if you look, Fahrenheit 451 conveys a message that oppressive government, go ahead and highlight that, oppressive government left unchecked can do irreparable damage to society by limiting the creativity and freedom of its people. So this is going to be said over and over again in the presentation, right? So Fahrenheit's dystopian context deals with what happens when we have too many rules and not enough freedoms. Okay, next slide. Additional concepts. We have totalitarianism, which is a totalitarian society, meaning full control. An autocratic leader has full control. So whatever that leader says goes, right? In all aspects of life, and you're expected to be subordinate to those rules. Okay. Next, the dystopian society, we know what that is because we went over it. But in a dystopian society, I want you to highlight the word propaganda. So you're going to hear a lot of propaganda throughout this book. All right. What does that sound like? Like inculcation, right? The repeating of things, right? You're going to hear propaganda as just like it's embedded in the media that you are going to come across while reading this book. The information, independent thought, and freedom are restricted. A figurehead or concept is worshipped by the citizens. So go ahead and highlight the word concept. Concept is worship because there is something that the citizens worship, and it's not a person, okay? It's a thing. So maybe you can figure that out as you guys go through this story. The natural Citizens feel trapped and struggle to escape. The natural world is banished and distrusted. Citizens are dehumanized. In meaning what? Citizens are no longer like these living things that feel. They are just these living empty vessels. Okay, so they are not human. So everything that makes us human, that's what the people in the story are not. And then society is an illusion of a perfect utopian world. Move on. Okay, so if you look, just as a heads up, The Crucible was published the same year as this book. Okay, so whatever we learned about McCarthyism, the Red Scare, it still pertains to this book because it's the same historical context. Everybody got that? So some of these slides I'm going to skip over just because. Okay, so let's go ahead and highlight World War II. Okay, make sure you're being interactive with these slides. If not, they are for nothing really, right? So World War II had just ended just, a few short years ago. There was this almost imminent danger of a nuclear war, right? People were showing their bombs. They were saying, my bombs are bigger than yours. Watch it, right? It says, more jobs led to Americans having more discretionary income, meaning throwaway income. Oh, you want that second TV or third or fourth TV? Go ahead, right? So discretionary income, meaning they had money to waste. They had extra money, if there's such a thing as extra money, right? Why? After the end of World War II, the economy boomed. There was this major boomerang, this bounce back of the economy, and it had to do with the vets coming back and having jobs, having the GI Bill to go to college. Okay, so this is that time period. There you go. The end of the era of McCarthyism brought new vigor to Truman's hunt for communist infiltrators. So there is going to be a hunt in Fahrenheit, right? That feeling of being hunted down. Okay. Second to the last bullet, technology electronics expansion included the use of televised surveillance footage for many purposes and the condensation of information into sound bites. Go ahead and highlight the word sound bites. Everybody should be following along, okay? Sound bites. Why? Because if you only listen to sound bites of information, do you get the full picture? No. Okay. All right, what else? What does that remind you of? Technology, electronics expansion included the use of televised surveillance footage. Anybody watch Big Brother? Yeah. Right? You get to see them live in this bubble 24/7. It's really weird. I don't know. It's interesting. What is that?
Isn't that a televote too?
Yeah. But it's this game. They get to win $500,000 and they gotta just play people and lie through their teeth for some reason or make alliances. It's very interesting. But Big Brother and millions of people tune in. I only watch it so that I can have conversations with people, right? I was a big fan of Christmas. There's actually a person named Christmas that was on this season of Big Brother. Very interesting. Okay, and then also this whole televised surveillance footage, we can't go anywhere without being videoed. You guys know that, yeah? You guys are being videoed all the time. Right now, am I videoing you? I believe so. Okay. So very interesting. Please don't break any laws because you probably won't get away with it because everybody has video, security footage, all of that. One thing I want you guys to highlight is illiteracy was growing. So during the 1950s, illiteracy was growing in meaning people were not reading well at all. That's really interesting. Why? Oh, because the progress of technology and electronics, the expansion of that, right, cut back people's time to read. Sound familiar? Maybe. Okay, next, lasting effects of World War II. So during Hitler's power reign, he burned many books. The Soviet Union banned and burned many books. Communist China burned many books, right? So there's this idea that this story condemns or holds down, right, this whole anti-intellectual concept of people being smart, right? The smarter you are, the more you can think for yourself, the less you'll be able to be controlled. And so when you approach this novel with that idea, this will make sense to you guys. Okay. All right, next. Did I go backwards? I did. Okay. There's your threat of nuclear war. Fun, fun, fun. People were creating bomb shelters. Warning systems were created. Drills in schools were practiced. Do we do that? Maybe not the bombs in place or whatever, shelter in place, but as far as like if there's a bomb threat or whatever, but we do have those drills in school. Okay. All right, next one, next slide with the red car. Does anybody watch American Pickers? You guys are like, my grandpa does. Yeah. Okay, so there's this like show on, I think it's the History Channel. History Channel. Oh, interesting. Cool, Jaden. I wish I had put that in the chat so that everybody could see that. Jaden said that some of Albert Einstein's books were also burned. The first woman emperor of China burned thousands of scholars alive. Ooh! We got their, they have their own Salem witch trials in China, I guess, huh? All right, so anyway, what is that, Jaden?
Buried.
Buried. Buried. I misread that. Ooh, what a way to die. Okay, so when you look at this, consumerism, right? The idea of buying it up, right? We love buying things. Who loves Amazon? Right here. Whose parents love Amazon? Right here, right? Who does Prime Day? I try not to, right? Okay, so what do we have here? 60% of Americans now are middle class, and this was in the 1950s. That's a lot of people, right? So if you had things, you were considered successful, right? The US became an automobile culture. Prosperity increased due to having a lot of jobs available, right? But with prosperity, conformity also increased. Why? If my neighbor has that really nice truck, I want that truck too, right? If my neighbor gets that, high-speed Wi-Fi, I want that too, right? It's just part of life. You see people get things, you're like, ooh, I might want that too, right? Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to skip this McCarthyism slide just because we've gone over it, but you guys can go ahead and brush up later. Okay. All right, let's talk about TVs. How many TVs do you have in your house? Show me with your fingers. I have 2. Oh, Anna. You know what's funny, Sophia? I see a TV behind you. You have 6 TVs. 2 TVs, 4, 5, Sarah, 5 TVs, right? What happened? They're so cheap now. You can get a humongous TV for really cheap now. It is crazy. You guys are so lucky you guys live now, because when I was your age, the TVs were huge, like boxes.
I remember.
Do you? Don't look at me like, Kumo, did you have the first TV? No, I didn't. Okay. All right. But I grew up without a remote control. Okay. If you ever lose the remote control, that's what my life was like when I was your age. We had to get up and go and change the channel. You guys don't know the feeling. How many of you guys have remote controls for your fans? Yeah, put your hands down, whatever. Okay, so when you're looking at this, look at the jump. Look at just the TV alone. Look at that, 1945, fewer than 10,000 TVs existed in the US. Jump 5 years forward, 6 million TVs. How many eyeballs do we have? My goodness. And look at 10 more years in front of that, 1960, 60 million TVs. I wonder what the number is now. Somebody Google it. How many TVs exist in the world? Holy smokes. I don't think we can count. I think there's more TVs than people, maybe. No, I don't know. All right. What else? It says the electronic industry became the 5th largest industry. Wow, how lucky. Okay, go ahead and highlight the 2 bullets at the very bottom. Technology made the world much smaller. Obviously, it does. Why? Because look at now. We know what's happening all over the world just by jumping on our social media, just by turning it on the news. We have video from all over the world. It's amazing. So we're all much closer. What else? Information was now condensed into sound bites. How many of you guys get your news from TikTok? No? Oh gosh, right? I get my news from Instagram and Facebook. And you know what's really bizarre? By the time you watch the news on regular TV, it's old. Like you could actually broadcast the news. You could like word for word it while the newscaster is saying it, you can like say it back to that person. It's crazy how old the news is by the time it's showing on the TV. Okay. All right, let's move on. I love TV though. Okay, so if you look on the left-hand side, it says Bradbury claimed that he was trying to prevent the future, not predict it. But look at the list of things. Look at that list. Seashell radios, in meaning whatever's in your ear right now. Who has an earbud? Nope, you don't need it. But yeah, if you do, you have one, right? Parlor walls, interactive TV, population explosion, rise in violence. I want you guys to go ahead and highlight 2. Go ahead and highlight 2 things that are very interesting to you. Condensation of information, dehumanization, and impersonalization of life. Oh, geez. Right? Impersonal in meaning you don't have that human connection. Elimination of books, loss of meaningful interaction with others. Choose 2 that are like, ooh. So this is what's going to be in your book. You're going to be reading about these things. Surveillance by police and government. Reliance on technology to mediate all social experiences. The funny part is, what are we doing right now, right? The irony is heavy. Okay, let's move on. So we got 2 really, really central themes that's going to drive this book. The first is censorship, okay, the suppression of the way people talk, the way people communicate. Okay, censorship. We'll look at the second bullet. It's very interesting. In the novel, it is ironic that censorship begins with the people, not with the government. So the government didn't do this to the people did it to themselves. Very interesting. Okay, on the right-hand side, this is really interesting. So you're gonna come across themes of ignorance versus knowledge, right? It says without the ability to think, people cannot make wise decisions. Okay, without books, where does the knowledge go? Very interesting. I've assigned you many readings that were not in books that you could find like on a PDF. So we're already like eliminating the books on our own, which is really creepy. Really creepy. Okay. All right, next one. Additional themes. I want you to go through and look at these themes and then highlight 2 of them that you gravitate towards. Okay, so go ahead and look at this and highlight 2 that catch your attention. Once you pick your 2, go ahead and pop them in the chat. So we can share what people are like, oh, that's interesting. Ooh. Very good. In the wrong hands, modern technology can be dangerous. Yes. And because Jaden is very interested in IT stuff, he's going to gravitate towards that. What about you guys? What about the rest of you guys? Dylan, choose 2. Humanity has the ability to be reborn and revived. Oh, Sophia, are you an optimist? Okay. Makaya, number 1. Individual self-expression is important. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay. Nobody's going to choose the mindless pleasure seeking and materialism makes for an empty life, huh? You're like, no, Kumu, I just said I really like Amazon. Yes, Cadence. Yes. Are we good? Dylan, which one did you choose? Yeah. So Dylan chose violence is self-destructive. All right. And meaning they do it to themselves. Okay. They don't hurt other people. They do it to themselves. Okay. So in this book, you're going to see that the violence is almost it's very careless because they're not thinking through, because they're so wrapped up in technology that they just do whatever. And then they end up like destroying themselves. Okay, very good. All right, let's move on. So in the novel, go ahead and highlight books are considered dangerous and therefore illegal. So I would highlight illegal, dangerous. No one can own books. Most people strive for happiness, which they find through being plunged into their technology. A number of you guys were like, what's wrong with that, right? And then the firemen do not stop fires, they start them. They actually burn the books. Oh no, Cadence. Okay, so in the novel, the firemen have opposite jobs. Okay, so this slide right here, this is just kind of like going through the time and the place. One thing that I want you guys to take note of is the atmosphere. Yeah, so again, repressive government censors all literature. Citizens' lives are filled with trivial distractions. Trivial in meaning things that don't even matter. Okay, war is imminent. What a fun place to live, huh, guys? Okay, next, internal conflicts in the novel. So definitely a lot of man versus himself. So you're gonna be reading about Montag's inner struggle to overcome his internal conflicts, and then Faber overcoming fears of him within himself. Okay, and then helping Montag. Okay. All right, external conflicts. So man versus society. There's a lot of like man versus society, and meaning I don't agree with what's going on with the rules in society. So now I need to make a decision. And then there's the man versus man. So we have Montag. Guy Montag is the main character, and Captain Beatty is kind of like the antagonist, right? And then Montag versus Mildred. Go ahead and add in wife next to Mildred. Okay, so just type in wife next to Mildred. Everybody see where I'm at? Everybody should be typing. I don't see you guys typing. Type in wife next to Mildred. There's one character or maybe two characters. You guys are going to be like, I can't stand them. I can't stand that person. Okay. All right. There's some symbols just to mention. Did you say knife? I can't hear that good. No, wife. All right, so we have the phoenix, the hearth and the salamander, the sieve and the sand. Go ahead and highlight sieve. I need you to look that up. What is a sieve? So there's this definite importance with the sieve and the symbol of the sand. Okay, just gonna point that out, and then we're gonna move on. I think we're done. Oh, characters, just the rundown of the characters. Anybody watch Black Mirror? I figured, Kalai. I figured. Okay. So there's this one Black Mirror. It's on Netflix. They have mechanical hounds. It is every episode. Yeah. It's the creepiest. You might want to just like look that one up. That is yucky. Okay. The mechanical hounds never die. It seems like it. And they just chase people down. Real? Maybe. All right, so we're gonna go through the book in third person, limited omniscient, in meaning the narrator knows most of what's going on in all of the characters. So we're definitely gonna know Montag's thoughts and feelings, okay? If you guys go on to the next couple slides, what you have here is you have your 6 memorable quotes and analysis. So let's go ahead, get in your tablets and go ahead and set up, just write down F451, pages 1 through 65. Okay, go ahead and set up your notebooks into a 2-column notes. On the left-hand side, you're gonna write memorable quotes. And on the right-hand side, you're gonna write analysis. Same drill, different book. So I need to see 6 different memorable quotes with the analysis. Every episode. Paint works. So after you're done reading and you have at least 6 memorable quotes, you're going to be taking a picture of it and dropping it right here. Okay, so I don't know if it's going to just take you 1 picture or 2 pictures, but there is where you're going to drop your pictures. Got it? And then the 22nd slide is basically your guided question for this section. And that is, you're going to identify the most disturbing theme or cautionary tale of the beginning of Fahrenheit. You're going to use 1 detail to support your response. So you can go back to slides 12 and 13 to point out which theme jumped out at you in the very beginning of this book. Okay, we good? Okay. All right. What time is it? Is it time to go? Not yet. Oh my gosh, we have time. Awesome. Okay, so this should be a paragraph, yeah? Your last slide, slide 22, should be a paragraph. Don't just give me 2 sentences now. You're not going to get all the points. Okay, go above and beyond so that you can get maybe extra credit points. Some of you guys got extra credit points for your Post-it note pictures. I was so impressed with some of you guys. If you guys know this, I wrote that in your Canvas when I graded your slides, so you can check that out. Some of you guys got additional points. Being that there's no Membean this week, I expect you guys to really follow through and read. Okay, you have 65 pages to read, but these pages are really spread out. Like the text is really spread out, so it's kind of like you have to read maybe 50 pages. Okay, you're gonna jump into this book, and it's like you're not gonna be able to stop. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys about maybe 8 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna start by playing this audiobook, and we're gonna start reading. So does anybody not have the book with them? Where is your book, Cadence? Someplace else.
Upstairs.
Oh, go grab it. Hurry, go grab it. Can you go grab it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
go.
think
Max,
it might take a little while.
yeah. Okay, everybody have their book? And in fact, I'm also going to, in the chat, give you the audiobook. And the reason why is the audiobook is really cool. There's going to be this part where Montag is going to go through like a subway. Okay. And I don't know, has anybody ever been in a subway or a metro? Yeah, it's super cool and kind of weird at the same time, because there's like, as you pass by, you can hear like either advertisements or announcements happening. Okay. And there's going to be this one part where that's going to happen. And it's very bizarre because all they're doing is repeating words, and it's so weird. Okay. So the audiobook should be very helpful to some of you guys, but I'm going to encourage you guys, like always, to read along while listening. It's blocked. Okay. You can use your phone to like listen and read at the same time. I think that can help. It's you just type in audiobook in YouTube. Okay. Alrighty. You guys ready? Did Cadence come back? No. Okay. You guys have your books? You guys ready to take notes? I'm gonna stop it in about, we'll see, 5 or 8 minutes. Yay, she's back. Okay, here we go.
He had felt that a moment.
Can you hear that? Okay.
Books on Tape. Books on Tape presents Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Read by Scott Brick. Fahrenheit 451. The temperature at which book paper catches fire and burns. Part 1. The Hearth and the Salamander. It was a pleasure to burn. It was a special pleasure to see things eaten, to see things blackened and changed. With the brass nozzle in his fists, with this great python spitting its venomous kerosene upon the world, the blood pounded in his head, and his hands were the hands of some amazing conductor, playing all the symphonies of blazing and burning to bring down the tatters and charcoal ruins of history. With his symbolic helmet numbered 451 on his stolid head, and his eyes all orange flame with the thought of what came next, he flicked the igniter and the house jumped up in a gorging fire that burned the evening sky red and yellow and black. He strode in a swarm of fireflies. He wanted, above all, like the old joke, to shove a marshmallow on a stick in the furnace while the flapping, pigeon-winged books died on the porch and lawn of the house. While the books went up in sparkling whirls and blew away on a wind turned dark with burning. Montag grinned the fierce grin of all men singed and driven back by flame. He knew that when he returned to the firehouse, he might wink at himself, a minstrel man, burnt corked in the mirror. Later, going to sleep, he would feel the fiery smile still gripped by his face muscles in the dark. It never went away, that smile. It never ever went away, as long as he remembered. He hung up his black beetle-colored helmet and shined it. He hung his flame-proof jacket neatly. He showered luxuriously and then, whistling, hands in pockets, walked across the upper floor of the fire station and fell down the hole. At the last moment, when disaster seemed positive, he pulled his hands from his pockets and broke his fall by grasping the golden pole. He slid to a squeaking halt, the heels 1 inch from the concrete floor downstairs. He walked out of the fire station and along the midnight street toward the subway where the silent, air-propelled train slid soundlessly down its lubricated flue in the earth and let him out with a great puff of warm air onto the cream-tiled escalator rising to the suburb. Whistling, he let the escalator waft him into the still night air. He walked toward the corner, thinking little at all about nothing in particular. Before he reached the corner, however, he slowed as if a wind had sprung up from nowhere, as if someone had called his name. The last few nights he had had the most uncertain feelings about the sidewalk just around the corner here, moving in the starlight toward his house. He had felt that a moment prior to his making the turn, someone had been there. The air seemed charged with a special calm, as if someone had waited there quietly, and only a moment before he came, simply turned to his shadow and let him through. Perhaps his nose detected a faint perfume. Perhaps the skin on the backs of his hands, on his face, felt the temperature rise at this one spot where a person's standing might raise the immediate atmosphere 10 degrees for an instant. There was no understanding it. Each time he made the turn, he saw only the white, unused, buckling sidewalk, with perhaps, on one night, something vanishing swiftly across a lawn before he could focus his eyes or speak. But now, tonight, he slowed almost to a stop. His inner mind, reaching out to turn the corner for him, had heard the faintest whisper. Breathing? Or was the atmosphere compressed merely by someone standing very quietly there, waiting? He turned the corner. The autumn leaves blew over the moonlit pavement in such a way as to make the girl who was moving there seem fixed to a sliding walk, letting the motion of the wind and the leaves carry her forward. Her head was half bent to watch her shoes stir the circling leaves. Her face was slender and milk-white, and in it was a kind of gentle hunger that touched over everything with tireless curiosity. It was a look, almost, of pale surprise. The dark eyes were so fixed to the world that no move escaped them. Her dress was white, and it whispered. He almost thought he heard the motion of her hands as she walked, and the infinitely small sound now, the white stir of her face turning when she discovered she was a moment away from a man who stood in the middle of the pavement, waiting. The trees overhead made a great sound of letting down their dry rain. The girl stopped and looked as if she might pull back in surprise, but instead stood regarding Montag with eyes so dark and shining and alive that he felt he had said something quite wonderful. But he knew his mouth had only moved to say hello, and then, when she seemed hypnotized by the salamander on his arm and the phoenix disk on his chest, he spoke again. "Of course," he said. "You're our new neighbor, aren't you?" "And you must be—" She raised her eyes from his professional symbols. "The fireman." Her voice trailed off. "How oddly you say that." I'd have known it with my eyes shut," she said, slowly. "What? The smell of kerosene?" "My wife always complains," he laughed. "You never wash it off completely." "No, you don't," she said, in awe. He felt she was walking in a circle about him, turning him end for end, shaking him quietly, and emptying his pockets, without once moving herself. "Kerosene," he said, because the silence had lengthened, "is nothing but perfume to me." "Does it seem like that, really?" "Of course. Why not?" She gave herself time to think of it. "I don't know." She turned to face the sidewalk going toward their homes. "Do you mind if I walk back with you? I'm Clarice McClellan."
Okay, write her name down. In your tablets. Clarice McClellan. Okay, and what do you know about her? Dylan in the chat? Okay, in the chat, go ahead and write some things down. What do you know about Clarice? We know that she is what? Very good. New neighbor. Okay, what else? It's part of a mindset. What about her, the way she sees him? What's so interesting about the way she views Montag? Okay, very good. So she's probably young, right? Her face was slender and milk white. What else do we know about her? Okay, so as we go through this, just for the beginning part, we need to take notes because we're getting to know the characters. Okay, so we are, where are we? We're at the bottom of page 4 where it says Clarice, Guy Montag. So this is the first time they're meeting, right? As you guys can see or point out, the descriptive language is alive and well. Like we can smell things, right? The smell of kerosene, right? We can see things like she's looking at the leaves blowing on the ground, right? Okay, we're gonna start again. Ready, go.
Clarice, Guy Montag. Come along. What are you doing out so late wandering around? How old are you? They walked in the warm, cool, blowing night on the silvered pavement, and there was the faintest breath of fresh apricots and strawberries in the air, and he looked around and realized this was quite impossible, so late in the year. There was only the girl walking with him now, her face bright as snow in the moonlight, and he knew she was working his questions around, seeking the best answers she could possibly give. Well, she said, I'm 17, and I'm crazy. My uncle says the two always go together. When people ask your age, he said, always say 17 and insane. Isn't this a nice time of night to walk? I like to smell things and look at things, and sometimes stay up all night, walking, and watch the sunrise. They walked on again in silence, and finally she said, thoughtfully, You know, I'm not afraid of you at all. He was surprised. Why should you be? So many people are. Afraid of firemen, I mean. But you're just a man after all.
All right, go ahead and write down some more details about Clarice. How old is she? Okay. How does she view Guy Montag? Yep. Okay. What else? Do people walk together? I don't think so. This is a weird occurrence that they're walking together, talking. Okay. People are supposed to fear firemen, which is really weird because we don't fear firemen in our society. We actually respect and honor them. They save our ocoles when we do crazy things or when crazy things happen. Okay. All right, continuing.
He saw himself in her eyes, suspended in 2 shining drops of bright water, himself dark and tiny, in fine detail, the lines about his mouth, everything there, as if her eyes were 2 miraculous bits of violet amber that might capture and hold him intact. Her face, turned to him now, was fragile milk crystal with a soft and constant light in it. It was not the hysterical light of electricity, but what? But the strangely comfortable and rare and gently flattering light of the candle. One time as a child, in a power failure, his mother had found and lit a last candle, and there had been a brief hour of rediscovery, of such illumination that space lost its vast dimensions and drew comfortably around them, and they, mother and son, alone, transformed, hoping that the power might not come on again too soon. And then Clarice McClellan said, "Do you mind if I ask, how long have you worked at being a fireman?" "Since I was 20, 10 years ago." "Do you ever read any of the books you burn?" He laughed. "That's against the law." "Oh, of course."
Page 6.
"It's fine work. Monday burn Millay, Wednesday Whitman, Friday Faulkner. Burn him to ashes, then burn the ashes. That's our official slogan." They walked still farther, and the girl said, "Is it true that long ago firemen put fires out instead of going to start them?" "No. Houses have always been fireproof. Take my word for it." "Strange. I heard once that a long time ago, houses used to burn by accident, and they needed firemen to stop the flames." He laughed. She glanced quickly over. "Why are you laughing?" "I don't know." He started to laugh again and stopped. "Why?" "You laugh when I haven't been funny, and you answer right off. You never stop to think what I've asked you." He stopped walking. "You are an odd one," he said, looking at her. "Haven't you any respect?" "I don't mean to be insulting. It's just I love to watch people too much, I guess." "Well, doesn't this mean anything to you?" He tapped the numerals 451 stitched on his char-colored sleeve. "Yes," she whispered. She increased her pace. "Have you ever watched the jet cars racing on the boulevards down that way?" "You're changing the subject." "I sometimes think drivers don't know what grass is or flowers because they never see them slowly," she said. If you showed a driver a green blur, "Oh, yes," he'd say, "that's grass." A pink blur, "That's a rose garden." White blurs are houses. Brown blurs are cows. My uncle drove slowly on a highway once. He drove 40 miles an hour, and they jailed him for 2 days. Isn't that funny? And sad, too? "You think too many things," said Montag uneasily. "I rarely watch the parlor walls or go to races or fun parks. So I've lots of time for crazy thoughts, I guess. Have you seen the 200-foot-long billboards in the country beyond town? Did you know that once billboards were only 20 feet long? But cars started rushing by so quickly they had to stretch the advertising out so it would last."
All right, we're going to stop right here. I think there's enough now to get at least one major quote. Find one, write it down in your notebooks, something that grabbed your attention. What is Clarice doing to Guy Montag? Thierry, what do you think she's doing?
She's like giving him ideas, like things that she's thought about. She's trying to like plant it in his head.
Right. She's totally planting seeds in his head. What else? What else is she doing? Kaolapa, what else do you think Clarice is doing? Ooh, very good. Yep, very good, you guys. Okay, so she's 17. How old is he? Okay, 17, 30 years old. There's a bit of a difference. There's something odd about her, though, right? She's different, right? So you have these two opposites, right? You have the dichotomy of a thinker and a feeler, and somebody who is basically erasing all that is human. Okay, and they have met in the very beginning of Fahrenheit 451. There's a major reason for that. Okay, so if you had to explain Clarice's role in the beginning of the book, right? That would be what was said in the chat. So very good. Okay, there was a reason for her in the beginning of the story. He meets the hippie girl, right? He meets the poet. He meets the person who actually looks at the grass, right? So as you also notice, there are these little details that play a big part in the beginning of the story. Like a billboard is now what, 200 feet long. Why? Because cars go so fast that they have to make them really, really long. What's the purpose of those billboards being so long, right? And why does Ray Bradbury make everything go quickly? Cars go really fast, right? There's a purpose, right? There's an intent for why people don't walk together in the very beginning. So that was an unusual event, that they're walking and talking at the same time. Clarice has already figured out Guy Montag, and he doesn't like it, not one bit. In fact, tries to back her up by saying she's rude, right? And she's like, I'm not being rude. I'm just noticing things. Okay. There's a reason why the cars go too quickly, so quickly. Okay. He drops this quote on her on page 6 at the very bottom. Okay, check it out. Guy says, you think too many things, right? So that's part of the theme, one of the themes of thinking, right? In this dystopian society, it's not really a big deal to think things through, right? But rather just be in the moment, okay? Alrighty, we got 5 minutes left. If you have your phones, grab your phones and just get onto YouTube so that you're not blocked, and see if you can find the audio book for Ray Bradbury. And then, yeah, sure, Kalai. You should be able to have this on your phones, I think. Look. Oh yeah. Oh, yours isn't blocked. Oh, very good, Anna. Okay, good. I'm going to encourage you at some point not to listen to the book, the audio book though. And that's like after he's done going through the metro or the subway. All right. You're going to hear this one part where you're going to hear this advertisement for Dentifresh. Okay. It's like this like mouthwash. It's this like oral care, like it's some kind of commercial. Okay. And it's very bizarre. So as you guys have noticed, this story reads like a giant poem. Okay, you can hear the rise and the fall of the tones in his voice. Okay, it's actually written really beautifully. Okay, but I need you guys to hang in there. Okay, and read your hearts out. You're going to be really surprised what happens with Clarice. One of my favorite characters in literature, but so disappointing. Anyway, before I gave it away, remember, you have till page 65, you have 6 main quotes, memorable quotes, and the analysis. The analysis could come in the form of a question too, by the way, right? So make sure you ask a couple questions. And then you also have the CER to do. No membing. What does that mean? No excuses. You should be able to read, do your notes, and then do your outline. Picture of quotes. Yep. Make sure you drop those pictures of your notes and your quotes into the slides. And don't forget to answer that question at the end of your slides. Okay, any questions? If you guys did not finish your outline, you got to do the outline before you can submit. Okay, so make sure some of you guys didn't do your outline. You got to email it to me. Okay, all right, bye. If you guys have questions, email me. If you guys want to meet up later tomorrow, awesome. Bye, Elise. Bye, Makaya.
I have a question.
Yeah, Jaden.
Last time, so I'm gonna get partial credit. I know it's gonna be late credit, but it's gonna be something
Right.
from Mending, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
emailed you last night.
I got it. I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah, it's in there. I just haven't uploaded because every time I upload, it triggers everybody's emails, and I don't like doing that. And I was having difficulty yesterday, like uploading, and so I might have done it like 3 times, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm driving people nuts.
That's all right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay,
Will.
take care. I will. All right. Cadence, did you need something? Okay. Do you want to just wait? Kalai's gonna, and then, okay. Yes, Kalai.
I got partial credit on my presentation because there was no pictures in it.
Yeah, what happened?
But I think my pictures just didn't upload into the slide.
Oh,
Like-
can you share that with, do you have it? Let me stop sharing mine and then let's see if I can, maybe that's what happened. It didn't, because I was like, what am I looking at?
Yeah.
Okay, you can try.
Do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah,
or-
sure. That would be helpful. Then I can just change your.
So
Oh, that's so weird. That didn't even pop up. It was just like a bunch of notes.
yeah, my captions were there.
Yeah, there.
Couldn't fit inside here, but yeah, my pictures didn't upload.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll fix it.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for being awesome.
Thank you.
All right, Cadence, what's up?
So I didn't turn in my note.
Okay.
I was
Which
doing it
which notes?
for the
Outline?
when we were reading. This one, like that.
Oh, where is it? Where are all of your notes?
I have it with me, but I didn't have time to put it in and submit it last night. I had to redo it, but I'll still do the late whatever.
Okay.
My sister, I was trying to look for it all yesterday,
What?
and I guess the night before, my sister was storing stuff in her bag because they slept over in my cousin Lexi's house. So they thought I was just doing whatever, doodling, and they threw away my notes. So yeah, I
Okay.
was like, so I have them.
Okay.
I just have to. Do you want me to just email it to you later?
Yeah, you can just set them all down and just take one picture.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do that. Just make sure that you have, the main, like a important quote for each part.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I will turn in the CR
Outline.
thing
Yeah.
and my notes today.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and I had a question. You know about the slides that we were filling out?
Yeah.
My computer wasn't letting me load the slides and it took a while. So I
Okay.
didn't get some of the
Oh, okay. So if you
some
look
of
at
them.
the Canvas,
Yeah.
that first one where it says Fahrenheit 451, and then, can you hear me? Oh no, you're stuck.